People inside the small bakery barely noticed the trembling woman counting coins with shaking fingers, except for the man in the corner. A man who owned half the city's businesses. A man who hadn't stepped into a local bakery in years. He watched her try to pay for a single slice of bread, her eyes full of humiliation, and in that moment, without knowing her name, he felt something shift inside him. He didn't know it yet, but the stranger he would help that morning would become the person who finally healed the part of him he had spent years pretending wasn't broken. And all it started with were 3 words he spoke gently, almost whispering, "Sit down. Eat first." What happened next would change both of their lives forever. The slice of bread that broke her heart. The rain had been falling since dawn, turning the streets into a gray blur as Aisha, a young widow in worn clothes, walked toward the bakery with her daughter's empty lunchbox tucked under her shawl. Her fingers were cold, her steps slow, and her eyes carried the exhaustion of a woman who had learned to fight life with nothing but hope and determination. Ever since her husband's sudden death 2 years earlier, every day had been a battle. Some days she won. Most days she simply survived. But today felt heavier than usual. Today, she had no breakfast to give her daughter before school. Inside the bakery, the warm smell of freshly baked bread wrapped around her like comfort she wished she could afford. People chatted, laughed, ordered pastries and coffee like life had never taught them to worry about money. Aisha stood in line, clutching 3 small coins. Barely enough for 1 slice of bread, yet the only thing she could offer her daughter so she wouldn't go hungry again. When her turn came, her voice trembled. One slice of bread, please." The worker looked at her, then at the coins and hesitated. "Miss, we don't usually sell just 1 slice." Aisha's cheeks burned with embarrassment. "Please, my daughter hasn't eaten since yesterday." The people behind her grew restless. Someone sighed loudly. Someone else muttered, "Some people shouldn't come here if they can't afford anything." The cruel whispers cut deeper than hunger ever could. And that's when he noticed her. In the corner, quietly stirring his untouched coffee, sat Armin, a young single father and CEO of one of the largest companies in the city. He had come here only because his son begged him for quality time the night before. "Baba, take me somewhere normal tomorrow." The boy was with his grandparents that morning, but Armin kept his promise to at least visit the place. But nothing felt normal about what he witnessed. He saw the humiliation in Aisha's eyes, the way she shrank under judgmental stares, the hopeless courage it took for her to show up anyway. And suddenly, he remembered a night years ago when he himself had stood in a kitchen with nothing but a cup of water to give his son. Because he was jobless and broke and the world didn't care that he stood up. "Excuse me," Armin told the bakery worker as he approached the counter. "Give her whatever she wants, and put it on my bill." Aisha froze. No, sir, please," she whispered, mortified. But Armin looked at her gently, as if her dignity mattered more than anything. "Sit down," he told her softly. "Eat first." And though she didn't know who he was, something in his voice made her knees weak. She sat, because for the first time in months, someone wasn't looking at her with pity. Someone was looking at her with respect. The CEO, the mother, and the secret they both carried. A waitress brought an entire plate: bread, eggs, warm tea. Aisha stared at it, unable to breathe. Felt like too much, too kind, too impossible. She blinked rapidly to stop her tears from falling. "You didn't have to do this," she whispered as Armin sat across from her. "I know," he said simply, "but I wanted to." There was something strangely calming about him. He wasn't dressed like a corporate king, no suit, no expensive watch. Just a plain sweater and tired eyes, the kind that had seen life's storms and understood their cruelty. Aisha hesitated, then finally took a bite, and the moment the bread touched her tongue, the weight she'd been carrying all morning cracked open, and tears rolled silently down her cheeks. She tried to hide them, but Armin saw. "Can I ask, do you have anyone to help you?" he asked gently. She shook her head. "It's just me and my daughter. I work when I can. But some days," her voice broke, "some days I can't find anything." Armin swallowed hard. He remembered his own struggle, being abandoned by his wife, raising a baby alone, building a career from rock bottom while hiding his pain from the world. He understood her more than she knew. He looked at her hands, calloused, tired, trembling, hands that had carried the weight of life without complaint. And something inside him whispered that maybe fate had put him in that bakery for a reason. When she finished eating, she tried to offer him the 3 coins again. "Please take it. I don't want charity." Armin closed her hand gently, folding her fingers over the coins. "This is not charity," he said softly. "This is humanity." The bakery had grown quiet around them, people sensing something meaningful unfolding. But Aisha felt anxiety rise. She didn't know this man. She didn't know why he was helping. And she certainly didn't know that she was speaking to the most powerful businessman in the district. "I should go," she said quickly, grabbing the lunchbox. But before she could leave, Armin said something that stopped her completely. "Do you need work?" Aisha turned slowly, confusion and disbelief filling her eyes. Armin continued, "My company is looking for someone in administration, flexible hours, good pay, and I don't want you to struggle like this again." Aisha's breath caught in her throat. She stared at him, trembling. Why would you offer that to me? You don't even know me." Armin looked at her with the softness of someone who had finally found a familiar pain in a stranger's story. "Because," he said quietly, "I know exactly what it's like to fight the world with nothing." And in that moment, Aisha realized he wasn't saving her. He was saving a part of himself he thought he had lost.